There is a new kayak company in town, and I have the owner, Josh Thomas, to come on and talk about the new Outpost pedal drive. So we got a new pedal drive kayak. In fact, he has a new fleet of kayaks. He's got the Outpost, the Terra, the Highlander, and a new pedal drive system. But in this video, we're gonna walk you through the Outpost and all of its features. Let's hop in. What is going through your mind when you have a blank slate and like, hey, I wanna make a new pedal drive kayak, and this is your brainchild?
Right, that it is. So let's start off first of all with like different classes of kayaks, right?
Yep.
You've got your true offshore vessels, narrow long darts, 28 inches wide, 14 feet long, all the way up to your like really large scale, 14 foot, long, 40-inch wide vessels, your aircraft carriers of fishing kayaks. We're more in that battlefield stage. That's what I prefer. And I have the luxury of being a little bit selfish. I get to design boats that I want to use in particular. So like the really large boats, that's not my game. But you're like, a nice 500-pound weight capacity, but I keep my widths in the like 34 to 36 inch range. This particular boat is coming in at 35 inches for the Outpost 128. You'll see I still have a tapered off tail on the back end. I'm not doing the true like box tail, just because like, it holds more cargo. Sure, when you do a box tail, but I like the performance. Like I have places to go. I don't really hang out close to the boat ramp. I'm going 2-3 miles offshore. I'm hitting big bays, big open water. And I just want a boat that can carry my stuff, hold the gear I need, and it's efficient when it's traveling. So that's just, that's a pretty good starting point on just the overall shape.
Yeah.
And then what I want in my boats, at least, I'm not exactly the bring everything in the kitchen sink guy. I'm pretty efficient on what I bring, but I do a wide variety of fishing, right? Like I'll hit North Florida and do the flats, chasing tailing reds and specks. I'll, go offshore chasing kings and wahoo and, big reservoirs for stripers or for, largemouth or any kind of green bass really. So like, I need to be able to reconfigure my boats based on what I'm doing, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to make boats that are very modular. That's easy for me to like switch the layup of it. So like, one big thing is we have like 10 different rod locations where you can store rods or mount rods like on the boat, right? So like when I'm going offshore, I usually take, around 3 or 4 rods. I've got a sabiki rig for pulling up, for jigging up bait. Mm-hmm. I'll usually have a free line, a down line, and a topwater lure in case, a school of mahi starts blowing up next to me or something. And we all know that risk, or anybody who does offshore fishing knows, doesn't matter how good you are, how many times you've done it, there's always a risk of rolling in the surf, right? Like it's absolutely always a possibility. So having like a true secure place along the gunnels to store my rods so I can survive a roll instead of having sticking up in a flush mounts. That's a real important thing for me. Like if you know my boats, you've seen me do that before. So I kept that same concept, except this time I made it more bait caster friendly. Previously when I did it, it really only worked well with like spinning reels. Like the bait caster trigger didn't really fit well. So that's been taken care of. And then like
so walk me through in this photo. Walk me through in this photo here. Where does that?
So let me pull it up on my screen too, so I can point it out a little bit easier for you. And we can go through the images down below. My machine's going a little bit slow. So if you look at, you see the stripes like on that flank the seats. You see a black strip just in front of the cup holder. All right, so those are rubber latches that'll latch over the over the handle area, like just above the handle. Really, you'd have your reel like right in front of it. And then the front of the boat, you'll see some pretty sturdy rod tip protectors. Now those also help keep the rod in place. Your rod tip will slide underneath, adjacent of it. And we've definitely seen kayaks before that have like have some sort of horizontal storage. Usually they'll put tubes up there. Personally, I don't like having the tubes because like if I'm fishing a topwater lure and I want it ready to grab quickly, like I don't want to have to like have it down here and like have to like have my lure secure and then pull it out and then crank up and then cast. I want to be able to pick up and just shoot my shot. So this allows me to like keep my rod tips inside the perimeter of the boat, but also be able to free the rod quickly and be able to cast right away.
Okay, I like it. All right, keep going.
And then let's see. So if you scroll back to the flush mounts,
there we go.
There's good old fashioned flush mounts. And I get it. We all have like our own preference on, rod storage, whether we're putting it in a Yak Attack black pack or, a crossbar with a mega rod holders on it or whatever. I like to still include flush mounts in a boat just because honestly it's very cost effective. Like pretty much any dead space I have in the hull, like I'm going to try and fill that space with something usable that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I just, for me, when I see like a big naked gunnel on a kayak, I'm like, we could do something with that. It's just kind of sitting there. So for me, like I turn my flush mounts in so they're staying perfectly vertical. Anytime you've been in a kayak that has like built-in flush mounts and they're sticking out, flared out, and you paddle up next to a buddy of yours, oh hey, look at that!
Oh, there you go. Some glitter action going on.
That's some sparkle dust.
I love it.
Yeah, so I keep my my flush mounts straight parallel with the boat. So when you're up against somebody else who's got flush mounts, you're not getting that rod tingling, that clacking. That's really sucks when you pull up next to somebody else and you like roll off with their rod because it's hanging from your rod and your flush mount.
I've done it.
We've all done that, right? And then the two flush mounts that are further back, they're actually angled back a bit further. Anybody who's like run rivers or running close to shore, fishing limbs or anywhere along the bank or going underneath a low bridge or something, it's like when you same thing, you're going down a river and all of a sudden your rod's like hanging from a tree back there.
Yeah.
So sometimes like, I would say the gunnel storage, the gunnel stagers, they're not the quickest to deploy. Obviously, a flush mount's going to be easier to like reach out and grab and like unlatch your stored horizontally staged rod. So those two flush mounts in the back allow you to store them at a lower angle to scoot underneath trees or bridges a little bit easier than you can when they're sticking straight up.
Yeah.
So those are the initial 8, and then we. Not in this shot, but you've probably seen with our traverse drive, simple things. And I'm talking about like no wasted space. Like we've all been in, prop based drives before. That picture right there, right? So like, we carved in a notch right there in front of you, so you can actually have your, your casting rod, the one that you're like shooting with, right there in front of you at all times. So, usually when you're in a pedal drive kayak and you have to move locations, and if you need to do something, you gotta put your rod in a rod holder and put it off to the side. This gives you a nice place to put it right in front of you while you're still moving.
I've tried putting it on my pedal drive before, and it always falls over into my pedal.
High risk territory.
I have to go like out. If I'm going under a bridge, I got to like stick it like 4 on each side down below, and I have to use my motor because you can't do it when the struggle is real. So I like it.
Exactly. So basically, like with this go around, I'm chipping it away at all the things. Like 10 years making kayaks, chipping away at the things that like still drive me nuts. Yeah. Like that's pretty much all these boats are.
Decade of feedback is going into this boat. Essentially, what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's not just my feedback. We actually had a private think tank group with about 600 kayak anglers in it over the last couple of years that have been giving feedback. We've been sharing the progress with it and what we've been doing with it. And like, hey, so some of the angles and some of the things that are happening on here, they have some great ideas. They were incorporated. And so this is, when we say like designed by kayak anglers for kayak anglers, we're not just talking about like me, it's just a whole team of people, a whole community of people that have been chiming in on these.
Right. And so we're looking right now at the 12-foot-8 kayak. I mean, we were talking.
That's correct.
Now I'm looking at the 10-foot. Now, obviously, you don't get 4 flush mounts in the back because it's not as long, right? So you get 2.
Yep.
And I don't see anywhere for the horizontal storage.
Yeah. So on the 10-foot, you're just out of space, right? Like we could put in horizontal stagers here, but to me, it kind of defeats the purpose if the tips are hanging out, in front of the nose, because like, you run into a bridge or a piling or a log or, heck, you're just dragging it down the boat ramp and you grab the railing of the boat ramp. I want to make sure my rod tips are inside the hull on my horizontal rod stagers. So the 100 is stripped down from the 128 with the things that are taking up the most space. Like you lose the that really generous large electronics console that you have in the 128. You lose one set of the flush mount rod holders and the horizontal rod stagers that you just mentioned. Yeah, for the most part, I think everything else is pretty much there.
So this is going to be the same power port, right? So you're looking up here.
Yep, you still get 3 access plates. Those are heavy duty fiberglass reinforced nylon. Definitely a step up from ones I made in the past. These ones you can definitely hammer away at them, drill them. They're good to go. We've got you also lose the bow motor mount. Ran out of space for that to cram in there. So the Outpost 128 and the Terra both fit a bow motor mount built in using the micro anchor power pole mount. Yep. So there's a plethora of accessories and third-party options that fit that, of course. And actually, in the stern, both of these boats, all three of my, not all three, actually all six of mine, even the inflatables, all three of them feature three sets of micro anchor power pole mounting locations on the stern. So you can go, left, right, power pole. My new rudder system that is talking about years of painstaking rudder work. Our new rudder system mounts to that same mount as well. So for the guys that are like true motorized guys, don't need the rudder at all, you can pull that off. You can, mount a, micro anchor power pole dead center. You can your motor in the dead center on the back or on the bow. It just gives you a lot more options for rigging.
All right. So speaking of rigging, we're at the bottom of this page over here. Now, this is obviously just fully rigged. Everything you could possibly put on it.
Yeah. So I tell people, like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. All right. We're just showing the options here. Okay.
But you can. I mean, you strip it if you want. So let's walk through it. I'm gonna go from picture to picture, and I want you to walk me through kind of the thought process in it. You just kind of talked about this a moment ago. This is gonna be your. Yep. Go ahead.
Exactly. Micro anchor power pole mount up front there. You can mount the, like a Minn Kota quick release plate or a third party quick release plate. Stick whatever motor you want, on the bow. Good to go. You have your wiring plate right there. You have three wiring plates. One on the bow, just behind the, just after the motor. One just behind the seat on the rear tank well. That way, cables running behind you. And then you have one on the stern for rigging purposes, of course, to get, running lights or running your power pole on the back. Then you got your
paddle park.
You got your paddle park. That's a Velcro paddle park. So another thing that always annoyed me was you have all this great deck space when it's on your trailer, but where exactly do you put your rods? You still end up having to put your rods, like bungee them on. So this is actually a Velcro paddle park, so you can pull it up, put your rod tips in there, put your rods underneath the seat, and get to go. I did the other day. I was using the Highlander 120, and I had 12 rods mounted on the Highlander 120 while we were driving down the road.
Oh wow! So it's Highlander 120 because it's still relatively new. These are the inflatable line.
Oh, that's the inflatable. Yeah.
We'll get to in another video. We're gonna do another video on that, and so it'll probably be recommended at the end of this one. But let's keep on rolling along. Get your hatch. It looks like this is removable, so you can get down into the hull. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you put little lip handles on it. Thank you. My gosh. Every time I try to get mine up, I have to scratch along the side to try to get some friction to get it up and out. So thank you for that.
You're kicking the bottom of it. You're trying to, jam that nose, get it to pop up a little bit, running a credit card on it. It's not like locking your keys in your house or something. You don't have to run a credit card to get your hatch liner out.
Yeah, and that's where I throw a lot of my extra wires as well. And so it's nice that wires probably could come up under that if you needed them to. Anyway.
Yeah, so you can actually see here, this picture, we don't talk about it. Just there's so many features. Like I know it's terrible. Like I should do a master list, but I've done this before where you have here's the 372, bullet points on this, but nobody reads them. They still ask you the questions. So I'm doing my best to visually tell the story here, but there's too many things that I really call out. So, but if you look here in this shot, at the back of that removable liner, you can see there's a wire guide there, so you can actually run wires into the front hatch without crimping them. Right, it's going to come over that ledge. We have an automotive gasket on the top, an automotive compression gasket, so it'll press on top of those wires. And if you don't have the wires, it's still making a solid seal on the ledge around the hatch liner.
I like it. All right, let's move on.
Now, one question, and I'll go ahead and a little bit of a neg that I've been asked if you can put rods in the front. You can, but it's very difficult because we have this giant removable electronics console. So you have to kind of bend the rod off to the side. So it's not like the boats that have the big long hatch. I made the choice of sacrificing the big long hatch to give me a removable electronics console that does what I want. I figured, I need my rods in my boat. I'll come up with a way to store them on top of the boat, and I'm good to go with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a huge negative. I mean, I know very, very, very few people who are like, oh yeah, I want to shove a bunch of rods down the hull of my kayak. There's a lot easier ways to store rods in your vehicles and rod tubes versus having to crank those things. I've never seen one yet where it's easy to get your rod the length of your kayak without really cranking on that.
Yeah, exactly. You're putting a lot of stress. Exactly. And the worst, I definitely remember my newbie offshore days where I thought I'll keep my rod safe by putting him in the hull and I'll paddle 3 miles offshore and then I'll go yank those things out. Yeah, good luck, man.
Yeah, good luck. You have to get out of your kayak in the water.
That is a challenge sometimes.
No, good sacrificial lamb there. All right, moving on. What do we got here? This is fun. You got a kind of a command center module designed, and it's 4-way walk us through, because this is what do you call
Yeah.
these? They're called
So
something.
those are the quad rails. Yep,
There
the
you go,
quad
quad
rails.
rails.
You know, the industry has seen these before. You know, seen quad rails used. What we did a little bit different is, first of all, this is our own custom extrusion. Like we built everything from the ground up. Yes, you can get these kind of rails like stock and bulk and chop them up yourself and DIY some like PVC stands or whatever. But so we have a custom extrusion. Some of our rails have bends to go along like to comfortably fit like the length of the boat. Like the 44-inch rail is bent to like kind of follow the contour of most kayaks a little bit better.
Okay.
We laser etched rulers, measuring devices on here. Obviously it's not tournament approved, but it gives you a quick legality spot check if you need to.
Yeah. I mean, I got slot
We have
limits on some of the
exactly.
fisheries that I have. So real quick, first I'd have to turn around, get my catch board, pull it down. Just a real quick check would be nice. I hear you.
Exactly. So it's not in the picture. The pictures only show the measuring device on one side, but I made the decision today actually to go ahead and laser etch both sides of the quad rails. So depending on your configuration, you have it on the outside of your boat and the inside.
Okay.
They are we keyed in. We knocked in key slots,
Yep.
so you can drop in your T bolts.
Without having to take the
And then
hands
what we
off.
did is yep. So then what we did with our base mount is, we want to make sure these are not just compatible with our boats, but compatible with a wide range of boats. So you can see that our base mounts, like they're hard bolted onto the rail and hard bolted onto onto any kind of gear track. We
Okay.
also include backing plates with them. So if you're doing a through haul installation. And for us, like we didn't really care about having them removable because I want these like rock solid, no wobble, use them as handrails, carry your device, carry your electronics console from it. So like you know, they're part of the boat when you saw it like this. It's not going anywhere.
I like it. And you got your through hull mounts for all the wires
Oh yeah,
coming
yeah.
off your electronics.
So yeah, we were on the quad rails there. The our electronics console, it's big enough for most 30 amp hour batteries. I have come across some oddball like 40 amp hour shapes. So like depending on your brand battery, you can fit a pretty good amount in there. This I'll be blunt here on this. The shot like that battery was too short, so like we actually put something underneath it to like kind of fill this void a little bit. So that's it's definitely pretty deep in there. And then I wanted a true like no drilling, a true waterproof, watertight electronics box. What I don't like is when you spend all this money on a brand new fishing kayak and then you got to drill holes into this waterproof electronics box and then silicone it and waterproof it. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like you have a waterproof box and you have to temporarily make it not waterproof and then reseal it. So
there you go.
Yeah. So we built a through hole wiring kit. We came up with like our own triangular pattern that lets us like kind of cram more into a tight space. So this comes with one pre-mounted on the top. The bottom of the boat has brass inserts for mounting on your your low rents, your Humminbird or Garmin transducer.
Okay.
Run it straight up to the top and done. Same automobile gasket as the front. That thing is watertight. And like I've done electronics consoles in the past, and we had some issues where like there's still some play in it. Like you get a heavy screen on it, and like it moves the rubber, like the latches.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time making sure this guy has like zero wobble. He is like locked in there, good to go.
Oh yeah, this thing's a beast. It's like this is the rubber that you see in like the Yeti coolers. They're really like
exactly,
or those Arctic coolers or whatever kind of brands.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I like it. Let's keep on moving along.
Also, tucked away in there was a little bit of a little Easter egg on that last one. I don't think I had a. Oh. We include a stand-up assist strap. We've got stainless steel.
I see it. There it is.
Yeah, we got stainless steel pad eyes on the front there. Figured that was a great spot because it's beyond the length of foot braces if you're requiring foot braces, and flanks the electronics pod. So it's a nice place to tuck that in there. And that's they're stainless steel brass inserted D rings. So or pad eyes. So you're definitely locked in there, and it comes with the stand-up assist strap.
Okay, I like it. Comes with. Yeah, we'll get to that. And I got a question. I got a bunch of frequently asked questions at the end for you as well. So, all right, let's keep on rolling.
Yeah, we got some foot braces. So this one, we if you know my work in the past, I'm a fan of having foot braces that lock in that can also be converted to free sliding foot braces for rudder control. So this one, we spent a lot of time making sure that they actually like flow freely. Like And I'll do videos like later in the, probably in the next couple of weeks. I'm so busy and it's really hard for us to like, kind of keep up with some of the content. But if you were to take this nylon rail off the side of the boat and put the foot brace in free flow mode or in free slide mode and turn it
Yep.
on its end, it's just going to slide right off. I mean, there's no friction. It just slides right off. You can like one finger just like flick
nice.
it and it shoots all the way to the end. So for me, like I've done toe controlled rudders in the past, and like they're compact. It's nice because you have a little bit less cable running, but honestly, it's just a workout. It works your calves a lot more. If you're using a pressure foot control rudder system, you just have to lean a little bit on one side, and you can get responsiveness out of your rudder. Toe control, you're just constantly working your calf and your ankles, and it's just long trips where you have a lot of tough conditions. It just really wears on you.
All right. All right, we're looking at here. Got the behind the under the seat. All right. I was like, wait a second. Give me 1 second here.
Yep. So, this is a under the seat storage bin, under the seat storage. It's like
got it under the seat. I like it.
Yeah, so this is storage under the storage. Now, practically speaking, you're probably not going to get to this on the water. You can see the crossbars on the seat support structure. So depending on your seat position, you might have to like adjust your seat in order to open it. But this is really for haul access and for emergency equipment. If you need a first aid kit or flares or something, or that like that backup to a backup of your favorite lure or whatever. But really it's for interior haul access when wiring and rigging up.
Okay, right on. I like it. We talked about this. We'll get to the Traverse Drive. Actually, I think I'm going to do a separate video on the Traverse Drive because this is the new pedal drive to the market. I'm a lover of a pedal drive, but we've had conversations about your pedal drive specifically, and I want to give more time to it. But at a high level, walk us through this new pedal drive and the thought process. Don't peel back the onion. We'll get to that in another video, but just share like high level what we got going on here.
All right, high level 10-to-1 gear ratio. We have a prop lock.
Now you mentioned but why'd you mention 10-to-1 gear ratio? Is that abnormal for the market?
It's pretty normal, but there are some that are under. It's a little bit more torque, but I like it. It's it's just efficient. It's a good power to energy ratio.
Okay, keep going.
So high level, it's removable. It's very easily removable. It has two ginormous stainless steel cotter pins. This time I went with a mounting collar. In the past, I've done a pod system.
Yep.
But the problem with the pod system, what I've learned is that we have a rotational molded pod inside of a rotational molded hull. Those are just two objects that are designed. They're hollow objects that will always have some kind of give. Mm-hmm. So after enough time, like that play that I was getting in rotational molded pods just kind of like, it just kind of gnawed at me a bit. So this go around, reality is most people aren't like switching between a fin drive and a prop drive like that quickly. So this is a heavy duty fiberglass reinforced nylon mounting collar that's bolted onto the boat. Okay. And then there's a rotomolded pod, like a plug that goes in its place. So if you're hitting a river and you don't need to drive, you can drop in the rotomolded plug. It goes flush with the bottom of the boat. So you don't have to worry about, shoals or, lay downs, like grabbing a hold of it. There's two pins on the front. You just pull the two pins out, turn that giant yellow locking latch in the front, and the whole thing just pops right out. Okay.
Now, durability on this thing. I mean, that's what everyone looks at that's what I look at when it comes to pedal drives. You got some things are almost made entirely of plastic. You got others that are made of cast aluminum. This is partly stamped aluminum. Walk me through.
So this is actually all so ours is a stamped aluminum and extruded aluminum and fiberglass reinforced nylon plastic casings. So it kind of runs all of it. And there's a cast aluminum as well. So a lot of the pictures and what you're seeing is our nylon version, our fiberglass reinforced nylon. We've ran it through cycle testing. We've gone close to 3 million cycles on it. Yeah, we're over 3 million at this point. I found like in an extreme, like 1 out of a million, like you're moving at 7 miles an hour and you have to make an instant stop. Like, and you can't even pedal 7 miles an hour. That being said, there are scenarios where you get the right backwind on the right outgoing tide or something, you're going out, of a creek or something, like you can be moving pretty fast, and you have to make a hard reverse. That puts a large load on the drive, and it's possible, like we're talking like literally like one out of a 500,000 is about where this fail point hit. Is we would get like a micro expansion in that plastic case, and it would cause a gear slippage. So punted on that like a month ago, and we switched to a custom stamped aluminum casing. So now it's a heavy duty, multiple tonnage head unit on this guy, and that absolutely fixed that heavy load issue, that like 1 in a million or 1.5 million heavy load issue. So the reason.
Why stamped over cast? Because it's my understanding stamp's a lot more expensive than cast. So why'd you go that route?
That's true. It's a lot more expensive. Okay, so I'm a bit of an ounce counter when I'm out on the water. I pay very close attention to which gear I'm taking with on which particular trip. You have like drives, as light as like 8 pounds that are like all plastic. Most of your fin drives land in that like 8 pound range. Yeah. There are a few prop drives that are in that like 8-9 pound range, all the way up to your, the heavy duty cast aluminum that the big boys tend to use, at the brands that we know and love. The problem is those things are 25 pounds, right? So for me, like there had to been a middle ground. There has to be a middle ground somewhere between like an 8 pound. Like I don't want like a plastic Jankers, drive that has like plastic gears that just grinds and like makes noise and, like wobbles. Like I want a solid drive, but I also don't want 25 pounds. So what we found is a good way of like bridging the two was, look, let's just spend the money on stamped aluminum molds. We use an extruded aluminum casing, and we'll drop in some lighter weight plastic components, the fiberglass reinforced nylon, like lashes and stuff. So we're able to get this drive in at around it's around 13 pounds. It's like it's like just under 13 pounds is where we're at. So not the ultra light like plastic ones. So you get the performance of the cast aluminum without the weight of the cast aluminum.
Got it. So how often would something like this need to be like worked on? Because it's important to me to be able to work on my pedal drives. I've done it with the Propel series. It's easy to take apart, easy to grease, easy to put back together. I have another one from BKK that just came in, and there's 21 different Allen screws I need to take apart. It's like that as far as
that is a lot.
Sucks. So you need to grease these things. Is there through ports? What was going through your mind when it comes to the serviceability of these things?
Yeah, so a couple of things on the serviceability of it. You asked specifically like how often. Like I can't tell you how often. It's going to depend on how often you use your boat, right?
But, I mean, you go by hours, right? Of actual use.
Yeah. So actually, I don't have that number off the top of my head. That's a good question. Yeah.
Sorry, I lost you for a second.
No, I said that's a good question. Actually, I don't have that number off the top of my head with the service hours or the recommended service hours are, but we'll have that one. I mean, we have the data. I just don't. Yeah, I'll have to pull that one. Good question.
No, that's all good.
As far as servicing it, though, we do have a quick access lubrication port on the top. It's an Allen head that unscrews, so you can get in there that way. We have one on the bottom on the lower unit as well. If you need to truly crack the case open, the top is, I should know this pop quiz. I'm going to fail my own product. I believe it's 5, maybe 6 bolts on the top, and it should be around 6 bolts on the bottom.
Got it.
The reason I'm not entirely certain is because we just switched that cast aluminum like a few weeks ago, or not cast aluminum, sorry, the stamped aluminum, and that one might have one more. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, no problem. All right, great. Well, we'll take a deeper dive in another video on the Traverse Drive, but that was pretty good. Let's keep moving along. This is the Outpost. We're looking at the 12.8 or 128.
Yep.
And so now we're looking at the seats, and you have a lot going on with your seats. There was a lot of design, a lot of thought process that went with seats, under the seat, under the seat storage. I mean, you didn't stop.
Seat. Yeah. Like, you know what happened was we see those AI memes of fishing kayaks with like all the junk on it. I'm like, you know what? That's a good idea. We should get her done.
There we go.
That being said, we started working on the seat before the AI thing really hit. So it's more like you spend 2 years on it, and then AI spits it out in 2 minutes. You're like, dang it. Anyway,
you have 3 different seats across your entire line of fishing kayaks, right? So which one?
Only two.
Okay.
Yeah. So what?
This is your top of
The
the line?
rigids have yep, the rigids here have the Horizon seat, the Horizon Pro seat.
Hmm.
So this seat is, let's see, there's 8 positions. There's a level high position and there's a recumbent low position. And the reason I only went with a recumbent low is because, look, if you need to sit in a lower position, it's all about your center of gravity. All you got to do is get your weight pushing down towards the center of the boat to get that stability that you need and the condition that you need for that low position. So being in a recumbent low also keeps your legs kicked up for engaging the foot pedal drive. So this would be the high position right here in that particular shot. And so from there, so you have a recumbent low and a high, and then each of those has 4 positions to adjust your recumbency, if that's even a word. Maybe just made up recumbency.
We'll go for it.
It's not a word. It should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but your recumbent positions. So it's a spring-loaded system. You pull on the front. You got to give it a little bit of your weight when you're pulling on it because we don't want you to accidentally fall out of it. And it's keyed in, so like you pull forward and then it'll spring out. You pick your notch, drops back in, and then drops down and locks into position.
Got it.
And then you've got the armrests, of course, because look, I'll just be honest. I'm getting old and like I get exhausted. I'm on the wall. I just want the armrest, dude. Come on, man. Like, especially when the bike's slow. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just sitting here like this all day. And then having the gear tracks on the side of the armrests. We played around with a couple of different configurations of it. Originally, we had them running horizontal, like with the rail.
Yeah.
And I found that just got in the way. Like, having that, being forced to have the handrail that high. And depending on if I was putting like a rod holder or some kind of tool holders in the way. So switched it to a vertical mount. And that just gave me a lot more, again, it's about me. It gave me a lot more, got me what I wanted in my rigging.
Got it.
So our steering handle, I'm jumping off the steering handle here real quick, but it's you can see pretty clearly here that large yellow locking mechanism. As the base, we have separate. You can buy separate bases and put them wherever you want. So if you need one like on the left side and the right side, you want one up on the perch, because that's one thing that like I always hated was when I got up on the perch and like my steering handle's like way down here. So now I can just like quick disconnect it, move it up to the perch, and yeah,
got it.
Just yeah. So the gear
I've only seen the perch on one other kayak, and it was an inflatable. And so why the perch?
Wait. You saw a perch on an inflatable? So I mean, I like to wave the banner on inventing the kayak seat perch.
Well,
I did the perch.
I thought on the Wilderness Systems IATAK, it has something that looks like this.
Yeah, so I did the perch back in, I don't remember when I first did a perch. It would have been like 2017, 18, 2018 timeframe. Yeah, and then Pelican ended up doing the perch on one of their boats, and then Pelican owns Confluence, so of course you might see the perch across some other product lines. Yep, so that makes total sense. I haven't seen it on that boat, but cool. So this go around though
this past week, so it's
so right. So for me in the perch, some people don't quite completely understand the concept of the perch. They see the people like doing the sight casting, standing on top of it, doing that bonefish or tarpon sight fishing. Look, if you can stand on it, great. I can stand on it. I probably stand on it like 1 out of 1,000 trips, to be honest. Like it's not really for me. It's not for standing. It's for sitting. I mean, look how much higher you're getting off your seat base there, right? Like that's lifting you up another 8 inches off the seat base, and that just drastically changes your side cast. Even that little bit of a vantage point helps with your sight fishing game, and it takes a load off your back. What it's like being in a pedal kayak or any kayak for hours on end. Anytime you can reposition your back goes a long way. So for me, it's just a perch. People think of it as a standing perch, but it's a perch that you can stand on it if you want. Again, I think the mantra here is like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. You can't stand on it doesn't necessarily mean you should.
I will testify.
That said,
being able to sit up after sitting in a seat and be able to like stretch your back in that way, it is a whole lot more comfortable to have that option available to you, especially for those long days on the water. So I will say, everyone might be looking at to be like, oh, I would never use that. You'd be surprised how often you sit on that if you had it. So
yeah. And so this go around, my perches have a 350-pound weight capacity. They're also a quick disconnect. So there's a latch. yeah, there's a latch on each post, so it comes off. The legs will fold up flat underneath the perch itself. So you can use it as a little, campfire table or a step stool if you needed to. I mean, for a step stool though, you're only getting up like about 4 inches, but if that 4 inches helps, it helps.
Yeah.
And it's got gear tracks on all four sides, because the other thing that kind of annoyed me was, you know, the few times I just said went up 1,000 times I stand on it, but the times I do, I get get all the way up there, and it's like, oh, I need that rod down over there or whatever. So now I have a place to like store my rods and my gear, like while I'm up there, like the tools that I need while I'm in perch position.
Look at that. A lot of thought going into this. I like it. It's back on out. Let's keep on moving along. Let me head back over here to the.
Yeah, it's a lot.
No, it's you got a lot going into your boat here. Let me see what I got. Where did I find all those?
Oh, you can see, but I see right here in that shot you had the horizontal rod stager.
Oh yeah,
from earlier.
I don't know how to get back there. But let's go. Let's talk a little bit. I love under the seat storage. What are we looking at here?
Oh yeah. So this is an underseat drop box, bin, junk drawer. They've certainly been done before. It has the PVC pouch on top with the a zipper pouch, so you can have your soft plastics. They're a little bit deeper and bigger than the drawers I've made in the past. And I've done boats before where like the drawers are like mounted underneath, and like I don't know, just after a while you realize they can only come out so far. You still have stuff like further back, and we've all had that one like rat red or kicker bass that like threw the hook and is like flopping underneath the seat, and you can't get the drawer out to get back there. So I made sure it's completely removable. Pull it out, put it on your lap.
Great. So this is bungee
Grab
in
two.
right here.
Yeah, it's just bungee in the front. Now on the back of it, there's a stair step. What it is like there's a ledge on the back, and the ledge like locks underneath a locking bar, right? So there's no pictures of it, but yeah. So there's a ledge that locks underneath the bar, and the bungee's holding on the front, and now it can't go anywhere.
All right,
simple. It's a lot easier than the drawer slides that I've done in the past.
And you got it notched out here for rod butts.
Yep, exactly. Now, those might get in the way of foot pedals, depending on your situation. You can go from there to the traverse drive rod stager, but depending on your, maybe you're a motor guy or something, and you have all the room in the world on your deck.
All right. Looks you got some storage for your tackle on the side of your seat. What size are these?
3,600.
Got it. So it'll fit 3,600. Is this on both sides of the kayak?
Yep. Again, I'm an ounce counter, so I don't always need to bring my black pack or my creative stuff.
Yeah.
If I can dig what I need in 4 tackle boxes, like honestly, like it's very rare that I need more than 4 tackle boxes. I mean, I have to be doing like some crazy like species jumping, game.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I have a black pack. It fits mostly my battery and my lunch and my my rain jacket. And so I don't get a lot of stuff back there. So the night before, I'm always like just condensing it into just a few, because I'm like you. I don't need a billion things that I never use. All right, now
I'm the same way. Like my black pack is for camping equipment, and the tackle I need is just right here at my at my saddle side.
I like it. So for the Outpost 128 PDL Pro, what size black pack with the tether tubes does it fit?
13 by 16.
Okay, so it won't fit the 16 by 16.
Right.
It will fit the 13
like
by
I said
16.
before, exactly. So I went with a tapered off tail for efficiency moving.
Yep.
I didn't want to do the full, box back, to fit that 16 by 16. I was more about going places and how much more stuff we can haul on this thing.
Yeah, 100%. And you talked about some of the other, anything else you see here, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't talk about that. I want to.
Yeah, I guess I don't think we hit on the anchor chutes. You've got, port and starboard anchor chutes, pre-plumbed. Everything on this boat's pre-plumbed, by the way. You don't have to like run tubes. So these are plumbed to the cockpit area, so you can drop on an anchor wizard or the new Yak Attack. What do they call it? The anchor drop, anchor.
The drop
anchor.
shot.
You know what I'm talking about? The drop shot, something like that. Yeah, which looks totally wicked. Can't wait to get my hands on it and try that one. So you can mount that onto a quad rail or on one of the front tracks, and run an anchor chute, run a grapple anchor or a drift chain.
And this last photo here is just for just adding another photo. Is there something in here that you're trying to highlight?
Just because, like, I believe, like, kayaks should have cup holders, man. Like, I shouldn't have to pay for a cup holder.
I've had conversations with individuals that absolutely hate cup holders. Then I talk to people like you're like, yeah, they need one. I'm putting one in. And whether it's a cup holder or it's their bait graveyard, it doesn't matter. Something that holds something.
Yeah, like I don't understand. Like, you have so much deck space. They're free. They're literally free to add to a kayak. Like, literally, you just mold it in.
Yeah.
So if you hate cup holders, maybe you just don't like hydration. I don't know, man. But at least you have a place to drop a whatever lure you just cut off.
I don't hear you. The bait graveyard. All right, so let's walk through
Exactly.
some specs of what we're looking at here. You get length, of course. If you're new to kayak fishing, it's titled the 128 PDL because that is the length, 12 foot 8 inches, width 35, height the gunnels 15 inches. Was there any thought process? You don't want these to be super high catching wind.
Yeah, that's a good point. So now, people who know my boats in the past, it's a very similar hull shape. I go for low wind profile personally. I come from boats that are like long, skinny darts. I go miles offshore. I'm used to getting a face full of a wave. I'm used to like rolling through chop and through swells. So for me, getting wet is not that big of a deal. What's important to me is how fast my water can, how fast my boat can drain the water. Yeah. So it's all about having, water runoff guides in the boat. Really paying attention to that watershed. Like, you're going to eat water. I want to make sure that water gets out fast. And making sure that I have a high enough weight capacity and a high enough deck that there's enough clearance in those scuppers, and the scuppers aren't just riding the deck line. So my boats, like, so now this one, we changed to a more bulbous front, a more bulbous nose. The yellow shots, there's a picture of it somewhere. Okay. So it does ride over swells better. That 15 inches is taller than what I've done in the past, and it does have a higher gunnel on the bridge or on the nose of the boat than it did in the past. So it's drier, it sheds water better, it's more maneuverable. But you're still going to have a lower gunnel on the side. So if you're the kind of person who feels a little uneasy about that, then there's definitely boats that have like really tall, really deep cockpits. For me, I'm indifferent because, like, I'm in a small plastic boat out in the water. I don't care if I get wet. What I care about is, like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I just spent hours to get to this spot, and I don't want the wind blowing me all over the place. So sure. I go with a low profile hull shape just to, like, kind of reduce some of that wind push that I get out there. Especially when you get on some of those like big Florida flats, like that's there's no escape.
Yeah, I was just on Lake Erie, and man, I was getting blown around. It was.
Yeah, so
I need to go inland just a little bit. And I actually ran the river just because it was such a pain in the butt catching all that wind and being pushed. All right, other things we got here is everyone's always curious weight capacity. So you're looking at 500 pounds. How do you determine your weight capacity?
Yes,
at Camino Journey?
That is a great question because you'll hear different versions from different manufacturers. What I'm publishing is the true usable weight, which you hear a lot of times is like, a lot of boats, that weight capacity includes the weight of the boat in it. Mm-hmm. So you would have, and it's ambiguous with every brand and every boat maker, but our weight capacity that we publish is actually the usable weight capacity. If you want to know what the
higher is what you're saying, you could have pumped it up higher.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah, but that usable meaning that, like, it's still a dry ride, right? That for me, that's the point at which the water starts to enter the cockpit area. So meaning if you're at that level and you're moving, you're going to get water pushing because of momentum, right? As you're moving, that water's going to push and you'll get some water in and it'll drain out the scuppers behind it. But yeah, that is a usable weight capacity. It's not, that minus the weight of the boat.
Got it. All right. Your weight on the kayak just alone, if nothing on it's going to be 75 pounds. Rigged. Yep. Everything.
And
pedal drive?
No. So to be clear here, so that hull weight, the only reason I publish that hull weight is because we're supposed to do that in the industry, but the reality of that weight is that is the amount of the raw material being used that's being poured in the molds. So anytime you see a kayak brand, for the most part, pretty much everyone, if you see that 62 pounds, that's 62 pounds of raw material resin that's been poured into the mold. That does not include the brass inserts, the screws, the hatches, the fittings, the bungees, the cordage, any of that jazz, your pad eyes. So that's what the rigged weight is the weight of the raw material and all the other pieces that make up the kayak so it's actually usable. Got it. So what happens is if you publish just the honest weight, people are like, why is this boat so heavy?
So heavy.
You have to like.
Okay. So the rigged include the seat or no?
Not the seat. The seat adds 11 pounds, 12
Got it.
pounds.
So this is basically rigged as everything but the seat and the pedal drive.
Right.
Got it.
That's correct.
All
And
right.
the pedal drive, because it's sold separately. So this is the weight with how you buy it.
Yeah.
And what drive you're putting in. Are you putting in a fin drive? Are you putting in an hour drive? Depending on the motor.
100%. So a couple things. Well, one question I want to ask, because this doesn't get talked about a whole lot when it comes to, everyone thinks that HDPE, high density polyethylene is the same. It's not. There's versions, there's different, just like anything else, there's a quality to the type of plastic that you mold your boats with. And so walk us through what yours is made of, and give us a broad kind of brushstroke of what other companies do.
Broad brushstrokes, and I can only speculate. I don't have any data, and I'm not what anybody else uses. But so and true plastics experts, they can definitely chime in here and help out with explaining a little bit better than I do. You got to remember, I've been molding plastic for 10 years, but I'm not a rotational molder, right? I make kayaks, we design kayaks, and by factory, we've been producing things for a long time, but I'm not the plastics guru. But I can tell you, from my experience, what we've done. Basically, to simplify it, you have a low density polyethylene, linear low density polyethylene, LDPE, MDPE, a medium density, and high density polyethylene. Typically, your polyethylene, your categories, you're looking at your tensile strength, your elongation strength. Tensile strength is going to be how well does it deal with impact. Your elongation strength is how does it bend under pressure? Is it going to be malleable? Does it want to bend, or does it want to crack? What's it going to do under load? And you've got your melting points, your flash points, your different what is it doing with heat? So, and there's different applications for different which you wanted to do. So even then, just because you are HDPE or MDPE, you can actually fine tune your material, your resin, based on the performance you want, right? Let's say you're designing product that is going to be getting a lot of impacts all the time. Well, you don't want a high tensile strength, you want a long elongation strength. You want that thing to be able to take a beating and not crack. But if you need rigidity, like in kayaks, sometimes you're going with a stronger tensile strength that will, give it that rigidity and not be as malleable and pliable.
Sure.
So you'll get a lot of LLDPE. And look, it's no stranger. It's not news. I've been manufacturing in China for 10 years. It's a whole different topic. But most of what you see on your Alibaba boats, those are all going to be LDPE. That's all a linear low density polyethylene. Basically what your ham containers are made out of. And they have to make them thicker. That's why those boats are it's so much thicker. That's how they get the rigidity and the strength out of it, is by increasing the amount of material used. So what we do is that we actually import our material. I can't get the tensile and elongation strength in the native material or resident material that we have available here in China. So I actually import all of my material, which is a true premium performance HDPE. It allows me to shed about 10% of the weight off my hulls compared to a LDPE or an MDPE.
Okay.
And it gives me just that toughness and that rigidity and that strength that we expect in kayaks and in high-end fishing kayaks.
Man, all right. I like it. And
sorry, I get really nerded out on that stuff.
No, I love it. I love peeling back the onion. That's what this is for. So, I mean, if someone's interested in watching and purchasing this kayak, it's my hope that they come and watch this video and talk to the person who not only owns the company, but spent years refining his craft. And so thank you for sharing all of it. I do want to talk about a little bit. You've shared about, you've actually rated this yourself when it comes to performance on customization. I think you nailed it there. Stability. You gave yourself lower marks in speed and maneuverability, and it's because if you have stability and you have high marks in others, you can't have high marks. No kayak should have high marks in every single category. If you have high marks in one, you're gonna have low marks in another, just because it's always a trade-off. So walk us through a little bit of the performance and thought.
And you're right. It's I rated it, right? And how do I make these decisions? Well, because let's be fair. I just said at the beginning of our call here that, my boats are 35 inches wide. I'm not making your 40-inch wide boats that are 14 feet long, right? A 40-inch wide boat or a 45-inch wide boat, depending on the hull shape, should be even more stable than this boat. So what I'm saying is, for this class of vessel, this is as stable as you can possibly get with this hull shape in this class of vessel. So then the trade-off, as you mentioned, if I'm making a really stable boat, you have to give somewhere, right? So speed, if I wanted a fast boat, I would give up speed and stability. right? Typically speaking, my maneuverability and my stability would be sacrificed if I made a 27-inch wide boat that was 12 foot 8 inches. That's going to go way faster because I can cut water better. There's less drag in the water, but you're going to have, you're going to have to be a little bit more of an expert paddler and know how to really ride your secondary stability and know how to use that. And the maneuverability, knock that one down a bit just because it's a big boat, like a 10-foot boat, a short boat is going to turn faster depending on the hull shape, of course. Now, the predecessor to this boat, the boat I made before, was designed primarily for cutting water. Like it wants to slice water. It wants to go straight. This go round, I went with a more bulbous nose on the front in order to make it more maneuverable. So I found that like in tight quarters, like when I'm on like a river, it's just, if I have to make a real fast adjustment, that really sharp keel that I had on it, it was great when I was doing my offshore big water game, but it certainly limited me in a lot of other applications. So I shed that off this time, went with a more rounded front. I ride swells better. And yeah, so it improves the maneuverability, but it still gets what I would say a lower rating just given the length of the boat.
Yeah, 100%. All right, now we're going to rip.
Now, that said, I know we're near the end here, but I was going to say, now that said, if you're using the rudder, we have a massive rudder on here. So definitely, actually, I should probably change the rating. Because if you're using the rudder, the thing turns like, I literally turned a Outpost 128 2 days ago in a boat slip. Like I literally like turned it in a boat slip. So I'm like, actually, that's actually pretty tight now to think about it.
Okay. Yeah. Because oh, go ahead.
But when I'm doing these ratings, I'm thinking about it like, how does the boat perform without the rudders? Like if you're paddling it and using it, on its own. So
yeah, makes sense. All right, now let's rip through some frequently asked questions that people are obviously going to have when it comes to the brass tacks of price and warranties. Okay. And so, when will CAJO kayaks be available? Did I say that right? CAJO. Dang it!
Like Camino Ka. But then the Joe doesn't. Yeah, CAJO.
I'll get it. By the end of this video.
So we are on target for March delivery to our dealers. We have a pretty extensive dealer network that we've worked with in the past, both in the U.S. and both domestic and internationally. So we have plenty of runway. And when I say runway, meaning like, look, you see how much stuff is on these boats. We've been making boats for 10 years. We know the ins and outs. There are new molds, there are new pieces, new parts. There's a big difference between, doing sample testing and actually cranking up the volume where you're dropping like, 1,000 injection molded pieces in a day, like a lock and change. So we have to monitor those tolerances and make sure that, everything fits the way I expect it to fit. Yep. So we have more than enough runway to solve any issues between now and March that we might hit. That said, we're also trying to do an early access, a limited batch early access available this year, hopefully like, middle of December timeframe. But I don't you can't quote me on that. Like, I don't know, right? Like, I don't know what I don't right. know. So like, I don't want to make a promise that I can't hit on. So like, I can promise the March delivery for boats for the actual like mass production, but an early access inventory, shooting for it. But like, if anything doesn't measure up, it's not going out the door.
Yeah. And you're only selling through authorized dealers, correct?
Correct. Probably, possibly. So, I have a pretty big footprint in doing e-com, direct to consumer boats. We are in discussions with a few dealers that do online delivery. So I may not do it this go around. It's really, we'll know that we should know in the next 2 or 3 weeks, actually.
Okay. Can you pre-order a kayak?
Maybe. Possibly. Not at this time.
Probably maybe. Like, calm down there. And I just have my website up Friday. Jeez.
Right. Yeah, no, we get asked that a lot because I've done pre-orders in the past. What people have to understand is like a pre-order is a liability on my books, right? Like I don't want your money in my bank account until the boat's like shipped. So we could do pre-orders, but I just stick your money in a wealth front for a few months, get the 4%, and then you'll be ready for
there you go, and pay off the tax
when our boats are available. And so 2 things. One, if we did pre-order, it would only be if we're doing direct to consumer ourselves, which we were planning on it. But like I said, we're in discussion with certain kayak dealers that might take it over for us. And if that's the case, then I'll let them have it. Like, I'm not greedy. I just want to make boats. So if a dealer is able to service that, then they can have it. Yeah. And I don't know that if we do the early access, then it depends. Like if the dealer is able to take care of it, then he would be the one doing the pre-order, not me. So it really depends on.
Yeah.
Like I said,
So,
we'll know in the next few weeks.
so what actually comes with a kayak? Because I noticed your pricing structure when you go through the website. You buy a kayak, but just because it's the PDL, you can add accessories, right? You got to build your own adventure.
Yeah, just because like naming the boat Outpost 128 optional PDL was just that was a mouthful. So we got to drop a word. Yeah. Yeah, so the boat comes, as you see in this front picture here, it comes with the Horizon Pro seat, comes with the, I just said it's how it's pictured here. The picture doesn't show the Santa Assist strap. It does come with the Santa Assist strap. It comes with the electronics console. It comes with the liner in the front hatch. You don't have to buy that separately. It comes with the under seat bin. You don't have to buy that separately. And it comes with the liner for the under seat drawer. And it comes with our fatback rudder system, the Traverse fatback rudder system.
Yep.
The configurations you're seeing most frequently are with some various version of a quad rail on it. Quad rails are sold separately.
Yep.
And a Traverse drive is sold separately. And we do have a fin drive adapter kit that's sold separately. You know how it goes. Some people want the fin drive.
Yeah.
If they're fishing in certain grassy conditions, fin drive's the way to go. So we do have an adapter kit for that available.
Yeah. So walk us through. We're landing this plane on the Outpost, which I've actually loved our conversation. Can't believe we're already at an hour and 5 minutes. It's freaking awesome. We're just geeking out over here. But hopefully you are as well.
This is why I stay behind the camera. Like, I'm not usually like on camera. I belong like locked in a lab somewhere.
No, you belong talking about your baby that you love. You're doing a great job. So walk us through the warranty. What's the warranty look like on just all your kayaks? I'm sure it might be different from inflatables versus hard shell.
That's right. It's a lifetime warranty on the hull, 1 year on the parts attached to the hull, 5 years on the Traverse drive. Now, one thing I do want to point out while you had the price up there a minute ago, maybe you were jumping to the price, so I can hold off.
There we go.
We'll get this fixed in the next couple of weeks. My web team is on it because apparently people are missing the Save 300 bundled with Traverse drive disclaimer at the top. So if you scroll up just a little bit, you'll see there's a line there that says, the boat's $29.99, the drive is, $11.99. But if you're buying the drive with the boat, we do take $300 off. So it's $29.99 with the drive. Yeah, so it's $3,000. It's $29.99. It's not $22.99, which is what most people are quoting online, is what I've been seeing.
Yeah.
And the reason, so right now, if you click on Traverse pedal drive, I can see where the confusion's happening. If you click on that Traverse pedal drive option, like go and check that.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Go back and check it.
Yeah, there you go. Now scroll down. Yeah, check it and scroll down. The subtotal that's down below is not it's saying at $32.99. Exactly. So we'll get that fixed in a few weeks so it's easier to see.
Got it. So notify me when available. This is simply being on a list, and whenever you'll be the first to know. So if you're out there and you're watching this in the next month or so, eventually this will go on for a year and everyone will be like, well, I can get it now. It no longer says this. But if you're like, hey, I'm really interested in this, go and click that. You'll get on the email. Anything else we should know, Josh, before we land this plane?
Oh, man. I don't even know what to add. We went through so much on it.
We did. So you can head over to CaminoJourney.com to check out not only the Outpost, but if you're interested in learning about the Terra, is that right? Yep.
Terra.
You can watch that video right
that's
here.
That's my boat, by the way. That one is I love hybrid vessels. So that thing is, anybody who knows me knows that I've been on hybrid vessels like the last 7 or 8 years. That is my go-to.
All right. So if you're interested in learning more about the Terra, go watch that video right there. We're going to take a deep dive on that. And if you're interested in the inflatable air trek, you can check that video out right there. Thanks for watching, guys. Josh, I appreciate you.